Hello. Welcome to May 5th, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a morning exercise that I do to remind myself of my life objectives and my principles, and to see how I'm doing applying them to the challenges of the day, namely yesterday, and how did I sleep, and to plan for today. So, yesterday and last night. It was a really tough day yesterday. Man, I did not want to start the day yesterday. I wanted to run away. I really did. Yumiko did too. You know, we always have a little huddle in the morning. In the hallway right here. She's in her room getting ready for her day. And I'm about to go downstairs and feed the dogs and feed myself. And we look at each other and we kind of gauge in our eyes our level of readiness. And neither of us is. And neither of us is ready for the day anymore. Really ever. That's what getting old does. I didn't anticipate that. My job now is really no harder than it was when I was 35 or 38. Excuse me. But my patience, well, I have a lot of patience, but I have a lot of patience at work, more than ever. Goodness, you okay? A little white dog. I have no patience with using my life like this anymore. Maybe that's the sense of mortality creeping in. It's like, is this a good use of my time? Now I know it's a necessary use of my time because Yumiko and I are providing the support and infrastructure that sustains our daughter as she makes that transition to adulthood, young adulthood, and independence. But Yumiko and I do not want to live like this anymore. This is no life for us anymore. It's not that I don't want to work. I just don't want to work at something that taxes the diminishing capabilities of my brain. I come back over and over to that image of the sponge that you wash dishes with. That's just been so used that it's kind of squished and doesn't have any sponginess, and the soap doesn't stick. Even though my brain is mellower and more, I dare say, mature than at any point in my life, understandably. It's also a worn out sponge, just as my body is a worn out sponge. Literally, my body's changing too. You know, I keep fit. You know, I do 20 minutes of yoga every day. I walk at least 5 miles a day. I do 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups. So I don't mess around. But I look at myself in the mirror and the tone is all washing away. I mean, sure, I could go to the gym and really push it, really fight it, but I'm not that guy. I don't mind seeing my body begin to lose its tone and structure. Structure, no, but tone. And I don't even mind what's happening to my brain. I just don't want to apply. I don't want to use these remaining precious years so engaged. Johnson was talking to Boswell in the part that I was reading yesterday, and they were talking about prison. And Johnson had observed that every man, of course, 17th century men, that's their focus. Every man and woman, for her part, are trapped in a prison of sorts. Whether it's the baker who's trapped in his bakery, or the cobbler in his shoe store, the judge in Boswell, the judge in his courthouse. So what cage would I be in once I retire, if I choose to not work? So I've got this fantasy of spending my days with a book, wandering the streets of some city in Japan where Yumiko and I will retire to, stopping at the park and going to a coffee shop, and et cetera, et cetera. I know that it's not an unreasonable image, and it's sustainable because it's what I do every day. In fact, I do spend about an hour to upwards of 2 hours a day doing just that. That's how I spend my evenings after work. I finish work at 4:30, and usually by 5 o'clock I'm out the door with a book and 2 dogs, and I don't return until 7. And I could easily keep that up. That's, to me, a good use of time. But in my journal this morning, I was writing about the sense of the thin veneer. That it just knock on the veneer, and there's a hollow ringing below. And that's, of course, an allusion to my idea that there is no God, that there is no purpose, that we are just here, or if there is a purpose, it's not evident, other than the purpose to have babies. And that knocking at the seeming veneer of busyness that we keep ourselves occupied with, because all the frustrations at work and all the tasks that I have to do are a distraction, because the veneer, it's just wafer thin. It just looks so intricate and it looks so real, but you just tap, tap, tap. What's that? There's nothing beyond. So whether I'm keeping myself busy at my job or keeping myself busy walking the streets of Atami with a dog and a book, or Yumiko and I are taking a train to some part of Japan to enjoy an onsen and some local food, I still knocking. Whenever I can stop knocking. I don't think so. I think that's my curiosity, my native curiosity. Anyway, I think I've gone on enough on this topic. Yesterday was a hard day. A day worth contemplating not working anymore. I had a really good talk with a friend who called me out of the blue while I was out walking the dogs. Fortunately, I was at the dog park. I mean, not the dog park, at the regular park. So I just sat on the grass and we talked. That was good. I took on the tough challenges yesterday. I know when I fire up my computer later, I'll probably have those tough challenges talking back at me. I have two things that I really need to do today. Two. This and that. And the other thing. 3. Yumiko made such a great dinner last night. Holy crap. And I thought that the one the night before she couldn't have been beaten. There were a lot of dishes for me to clean up. So I guess that's evidence of the hard work. Boy, she worked hard to make nice meals. And boy, do I appreciate it. And I watched 2 full half-hour episodes of Midnight Diner. I guess it's because I usually watch Midnight Diner while she's cooking, and so it's Japanese. So she calls from the kitchen. Are you crying again? That show always makes me cry, and I did. Sleep was so last night. I was in and out. I don't feel rested this morning. But a Thursday, but it's my Friday. Tomorrow I need to take Emily's car to get a smog check in the morning. Maybe I just ask her to take her mom's car to work. Then I was worried about that. I had to coordinate all that. Yeah, I'll do that. What else otherwise? Nothing else otherwise. Let's get started with Good Life. 7 objectives and 30 principles. Man, oh man, is it important to have everything in a tidy order state, including my relationships and whatever words I want to leave behind. And to not let the time past poorly used or utilized. Although it sure does. I mean, I'm closing in on getting a chance to put a second dot on the memento mori, and I'm a little bit frightened. My death calendar. I'm literally a little frightened by how quickly the friggin' weeks pass. This will be the second week, day after tomorrow, to put or 3 days from now, to put another mark on it. I'm glad I'm choosing and I'm going with other colors. Oh my gosh, it's scary. And memento mori, the thoughts of death, it really works. It's motivating. There's no time to waste. And to, after I've built this good life creed, to maintain it, to tinker, to pick each piece up and look at it. What is it? Water in the ear from my shower. Sorry. And to become someone who reacts well. Oh, I did yesterday. I had a thing that I did. I happened the day before yesterday. I said something that caused some problems with someone, and I took care of that yesterday in the morning, and I told myself, just apologize, Kurt. Don't go into any depth. You were in the wrong. And I did, and it worked out, and I think we're fine. I reacted well, I think. There was no other way. I was in the wrong. And to do things that are good with the chance that I can, when I see them, those opportunities. And to know where the frontier is. I can't reach any farther than about there. The stuff outside my reach is outside my reach unless I can get a little closer. But immediately, as far as I can reach. But the stuff within my reach, that's the stuff I can do. I can do the stuff outside my reach if I can bring it within my reach. That's another part. And to be slow and deliberate and attentive to just one thing at a time. We're keeping the radar spinning. There, I just did my 7 objectives in a more cavalier manner than ever before. Not enumerating them, not even calling them out, just describing something. I didn't like the way that went so well. I think it's important to point out what the objective is and then say the details. For example, those 7 objectives were as follows: to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunity, and to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately. I think it's better to say it, describe it, and move on to the next one. But sometimes when I do it that way, it didn't happen this morning, but when I kind of start that freeform thing, there's kind of like a flow and a cadence that develops, especially if I don't look at the camera. If I kind of look at that middle distance there in my bookshelf, this just kind of, this flow starts to happen. It's only happened a couple of times. I think there's something to that. It's more engaged. It's you know what it is? It's like tapping the muse. That's what it is. When that happens, it's the muse kind of takes over, and my dead muse, that is, and does the speaking. Okay, my 30 principles now are as follows. 1, the principle of war. To always be skeptical and doubtful and fighting against the things that I think are true already. I'm naturally going to do that against the things that I don't think are true, but the things that I do think are true need constant vigil. 2, the principle of reason and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt, which is how I attempt to live a reasonable life. A reasoned life, not a reasonable life, a reasoned life. 3, the homunculus, the reminder that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. And 4, the Anchorhold, the suggestion that my consciousness is trapped inside my body, can never get out, and will never survive, will not survive my death, is going down with the ship. 5, the home of good and evil. Good and evil reside as opinions within my mind. They don't exist outside anywhere else. There are no 10 commandments anywhere. Good and evil are constructs of sentient creatures. I love to think about space. There's no good or evil. Excuse me, I gotta find another way between the stars. Good and evil purpose. 3 purposes in my life: biology, virtue, and mission. To be a good husband and father, to be a virtuous human being, and to continue sharing the story of going alone and the message of the good life. And next comes atomic principle. Everything is just a scaffolding of atoms, animated of energy, very soon to dissolve and fall apart. And then nature, everything has a particular nature. It's the nature of, you know what? It's the nature of a life cycle for the parents to squeeze themselves to provide for their offspring. Like a salmon, beginning to decay and rot away as they spawn, to leave some nutrients behind in the stream to help propagate the next generation, the eggs that are hatching. That's what we parents do, to a greater or lesser extent. That's what you make and I are doing now, by squeezing ourselves every day to sustain Emily. And that's the nature of generations. Next comes the pirate ride. Free will is seemingly a very convincing illusion, but not something that we really have. Although we can make choices. In the end, the choices are the ones we make are the only ones we can make. I can't prove that. I just think it's true. Call me a sinner for believing things that I can't demonstrate are true. It's a funny thing, that, because I know I should hang this one on the shelf, but my gut feeling is that it's true, so I hang on to it nonetheless, because it won't let me go. The pirate ride is a principle that holds me. I don't hold it, but I'm stuck with it seemingly until I can get my mind roused enough to kick it to the curb. Oh boy. Next is maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. It's how we It's how we best approach the world, is to remember our past success and failures, and excuse me, strive for more success and to avoid additional failure. Next comes the social principle. Excuse me, we human beings are social creatures. We need each other. And then public speaking. The reminder to be to communicate, and to be very careful in how I communicate. To use appropriate words and sentences and paragraphs, both spoken and written, and to never ever gossip. Then comes the horror show. No, temperance. And the principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Temperance is the state we're in when we're careful about what we consume and what we use, which is a simple way to live when we consume less. And we suffer a bit when we deny ourselves what we want. Oh, I didn't. I had too many cookies last night. I've talked about that before. And then apathy, our ability to recognize what is outside our control, and let that go. I feel like I'm sputtering out. I feel like I'm not doing a good job of this good life recitation and discussion or talk. I'm just burnt this morning. I would love to take the day off, but I won't. I don't. I will work, then I'll get through the remainder of these principles. Let's carry on. So, and I'll do a good job. Come on, Kurt, you can do this, just like you do at work every day. Once I get started, I'll do better. So then I talked about, that was temperance, suffering, simplicity, and apathy. And then after temperance comes the horror show, a reminder that life is is really just a terrifying place with all kinds of terrible things happening all the time. And it's coming for us to be ready to help others and to be ready to deal with the horror, the coming horror, if it's not here already. Next comes a principle called that which must be borne, what we have to carry in life, which is our responsibilities, the commitments we've made, the promises we've made, and the fact of the horror show. Next is the Feast of Offal, which is what happens when we get upset and we throw our upset out into the world. And what happens when others get upset around us and we consume that, and it soils us, and we soil others when we do the same. I try not to do that, to be either a receiver or a sender. See, this is in case I'm looking off in the distance there. The muse isn't coming, but I'm just trying to stay focused to get through this. This is a tough one this morning. Okay, that's because I'm just so tired. That was the Feast of Offal. Next comes distraction and agency and the great indifference. Two principles. Agency and the great indifference suggests that there is no God, and distraction suggests that we use all kinds of forms of distraction in our course of our life so that we don't have to approach the fact, or approach the very, very evidence and the fact that there is no good reason to think that God exists, that we have any oversight, that there's anyone watching over us or controlling us. So we distract ourselves with all the stuff we do in life. It's like a pair. Then comes the best seat in the house. Yeah, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else. But to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. And the little dog's barking in his sleep. Then comes the Path of Wildness. Yes, the Path of Wildness. The way to move forward through a current life into a new life. By collecting facts, giving ourselves time to think, make a decision, and if we can't decide, in a little more time. Ultimately, if we just can't decide, lean in with the gut. Ready to move forward. Also ready to know that it might be the wrong way. Oh boy. Next comes the risk of avoiding risk. The surface level risks of life and the deep level risks. The surface level stuff is education, career, family, home, security. The deep stuff is finding ourselves. Not all people seem to be drawn to the finding of themselves, but if you feel that draw, do it, especially when you're young. It's harder to do when you're older. Sin and damnation is next. There are 7 sins in my worldview. Falsity, being untrue. Credulity, believing things too easily. Faith, belief founded on the wish to believe. Superstition, belief that falls into a category of practical nonsense. Authority, belief founded on because someone says so. Dogma, belief founded upon a tradition or an institution. And then gossip, talking about others behind their back, which soils everybody. Now, okay, I'm starting to feel a little better. Complete oblivion is next. It's interesting how this stuff comes in waves. There's a wave of fatigue, and then kind of come back. The complete oblivion suggests that after death there's no afterlife. So, because there's no God, and we don't have a soul. So that means we'll never reunite with the ones we love. We'll never have a chance to reconcile any differences, and there'll be no final justice. So seek after our better living and our better relationships now. Next is the Great Life Adventure, which is one or more activities and one or more experiences in life that becomes like our centerpiece. I keep saying that centerpiece. I need to find a better way to do that. Our gem, our the thing that we want to put on the shelf and say that was us. That's what we did. And Ron reminded me. Thank you, Ron, of the concept of the super story. I don't remember how that fit in, but thank you, Ron, for telling me about that in Discord. I forgot about that. Something I said a couple of days ago. The super story somehow fits in with the Great Life Adventure. I wonder what it means. See, an example of getting to be an old man. Something I said that sounded good, but I don't remember what it is, but someone reminded me of. What? So next after that comes a season of philosophy, a time to record what we've learned along the way. Watch out for the words come. As I approached the journal this morning to write my journal entry, literally the first 2 or 3 words were sticking out of my mouth as I sat down. I didn't know where they were going. And I sat down and started writing, and then the sentence just flowed out. The muse was doing its thing. The book is kept open there with the pen right there at the ready. I literally could just step this over and start writing in a moment. It's a good thing to have at the ready, because the moment passes. Okay, now next comes the bullseye aim, striving to hit our mark, our goal, but usually missing by a bit, or a lot, or altogether, or dropping the dart when we throw our hand back and it's not there. Can that happen? I always feel like I rush through these last 3 or 4. The uphill climb is the suggestion that every day is another step up, labored, pushing up. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not climbing. And the climbing isn't like I'm getting anywhere. It's just the climb keeps me nimble and stronger than I would otherwise. And mostly keeps me from digging in. The thing is not to dig into the side of the mountain. And then the vista becomes constrained and I can't see very far, and I start to think about the past and everything is scary, and I gotta keep climbing, Kurt. Up. There's more to this uphill climb than meets the eye, I can see now. Arena and utility is next. Life is an arena to pursue our objectives by way of our principles. And the principles are like tools in a utility belt. But the more we think about them, like I do every day here, they are less something to reach for and more to something that simply is there. it's interesting. It kind of changes from, I used to have to like rummage around for, okay, how am I going to handle this situation, rummage around my principles. Now, the appropriate principle just kind of, manifests itself. And, temperance, restrains my mouth and my tongue. I can feel it happening. I'm in meetings and the idea of the words barely even rise. And I go, oh, wow, temperance just throttled my tongue. Thank you for that. I was about to say something unnecessary and something to be entertaining for others, because it's nice to have others watch. It's something I do less and less anymore. Next is I'm not going fast through these today. These last few. After that comes two more. Another reminder that nothing is enough. Simply a blanket wholesale suggestion to choose less when I have an option. Yeah, fewer things, less of everything, including not things. And lastly, the principle of fun and the sub-principles of hope and retrospect. A reminder to enjoy the day now. Enjoy whatever I'm doing, or do my best to do that, And then also to enjoy the forecast of what's to come and the anticipation of what's to come and the remembrance of what has been. Happiness and pleasure and, wholesome pleasure are, one of the only real fruits of life that we can really savor. Hard work and, being, what's the word? What is it when I'm consistently virtuous? Or having character, hardworking character are satisfying. But nothing quite like happiness, joy. Especially if it's wholesome joy that doesn't come at another's expense or at undue cost. Okay, I think I've done enough. That's my Good Life Creed for today. Now let's plan for the day. I'm going to get up now, and when this is done, I'll start the video uploading. I'll go over. I'm going to read in the Bible. I think I keep on getting my chapters confused. I think I'm on Isaiah 32 now, maybe. And then I've already done the journal entry. I switched things up. I'm doing the journal entry first, and then starting the video. And then I'll go downstairs and feed the boys, feed my dogs, feed myself, change my shirt, and start my day. Wish me luck. I wish you luck. No, more than luck. A good endeavor. Right. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.